You ever get woken up at 2:15 in the morning by the kind of flashing lights that make you think? Well, this is it. The aliens have finally come for me, but it's just the county cops. And, turns out, your neighbor's standing outside, barefoot in a silk robe, hollering at them about security breaches? Because that's exactly how my Saturday started. Honest to God. My first thought was, if I get hauled off in pajama pants, I'm haunting this HOA for the rest of my natural life. Let me back up. Me name's Henry Carter, and I just inherited my granddad's old cabin at Pine Ridge. You know, the type creaky floorboards, pine sap everywhere, a porch that sways like it's got opinions about the weather. I'd only been here 3 nights since the funeral, just long enough to dust off the antlers over the mantel and convince myself that the quiet up here was actually peace, not just the prelude to a nervous breakdown. But Pine Ridge, man, it's not quiet. Not with a neighbor like Karen Morrison prowling around. The minute I drove up Friday evening, still half-dazed from city traffic, she clocked me through her blinds. I caught her peeking, phone glued to her ear. I should have guessed, right then, that she ran this place like a cross between the CIA and a busybody knitting circle. I'd been in housing code enforcement for 15 years. That teaches you a few things. Document everything. Never raise your voice. And don't underestimate a woman with a clipboard. That night, I kept my portfolio by the bed, license, inheritance papers, the whole works, because if there's one thing my job's taught me, it's that sometimes your best defense is a notarized signature. So there I am, sleep still foggy in my head, peeking out my window, and there's Karen, strutting around my driveway in slippers, waving a folder thick enough to stop a bullet. 2 patrol cars, emergency lights strobing pine needles like a disco from hell. She's briefing the officer, serious, lawyerly, about a security breach. I mean, the last time someone looked that convinced they'd found a criminal, it was my grandma catching me sneaking Oreos before dinner. She starts laying it out. This property's been abandoned. This man just shows up. Possible fraud. I actually watched one officer's eyebrows go up like, he's seen some stuff. But maybe not quite this brand of mountain drama. She had county records, HOA documents, time-stamped photos, the whole deal. You'd think I was running a black market moonshine operation instead of just trying to grieve in peace. By now, porch lights are coming on up and down the street. People leaning over railings, arms crossed, waiting for the show. Karen's in her element, talking about civil codes and squatting laws. Section 1161. She says, as if she's starring in Law and Order, Pine Ridge Unit. One of the cops, Morgan, comes up to the porch, serious but polite. Sir, we need to talk about your presence here. And behind him, Karen's grinning like a cat that swallowed the canary. Except the canary's apparently me. Now, I could have gotten riled. Most people would. But you learn, in my line of work, that getting defensive just gives folks like Karen more fuel. I hand over my paperwork. Everything's legit. Except for one thing, I haven't filed the deed transfer yet. Probate's still dragging on. Karen knows it, too. You can see it in the way she's already rehearsing her victory speech. Mr. Carter, she announces, loud enough for the neighborhood, has failed to document legal right to occupancy. It's almost impressive. She's not out for blood. She wants to prove she's the sheriff, judge, and jury of Pine Ridge. And right then, I realize she's not just protecting property values. She's practicing an art form, weaponizing bureaucracy. The officers check my papers, spot the missing deed record. Has probate been completed? One asks. I say, still ongoing. The honest truth, which, by the look on Karen's face, is like Christmas come early. But here's the twist, because there's always a twist in stories like this. Right? Across the street, Mrs. Peterson pipes up, Karen's caught 2 real break-ins this year. She's got a good nose for trouble. The rest of the neighbors nod. And for a second, you see it, to them, Karen's not a tyrant. She's the line of defense against chaos. Morgan, the officer, takes it seriously. Sir, can you verify legal occupancy rights? I hand him the inheritance papers. Watch him scan my license. Karen stands there, stone cold certain she's caught me. What she doesn't see and what I'm dying to see play Udis that tucked behind my paperwork is a little laminated card, my official county badge. I could end all this with a flash of plastic. But honestly, I'm curious. How far will she push this? How much theater can one HOA president pack into a weekend? Next morning, she doubles down. Shows up at 9 sharp with 2 board members in tow, James with his briefcase, Patricia with a tape measure. They've got a list of compliance violations. Hedge too tall. Mailbox faded. Deck stain out of code. You've triggered a $300 daily fine. Karen says, and you can settle for $1. $500 now. Or face formal penalties. She hands me a payment form so official looking. I almost want to frame it. I keep my tone friendly. Even ask for the legal authority for these fees. Karen rattles off code numbers with the confidence of a Vegas blackjack dealer. Meanwhile, Patricia's snapping photos of every chipped step. It's intimidation. Plain and simple. I know it. But the beauty is that you don't know who I am. Not yet. That night, I call a friend at the county, just a hypothetical. She laughs. That's pure bluff. They're shaking you down. I document everything. Email trails. Their official notices. The whole song and dance. And all the while, Karen's so convinced she's got me cornered. She's building the perfect case. Against herself. That evening, Karen makes her move, calls 911. Voice just oozing urgency. Persistent trespasser. Ignoring all notices. Within half an hour, police cars swing back into the driveway. Same officers as before. Plus a sergeant this time. Karen's right behind them. Paperwork ready. Eyes shining. Sergeant Thompson takes the lead. Sir, we need your documentation. I hand him my papers. Same as before. This time, though, Morgan spots the credential in my portfolio. Everything stops. He looks at me, back at my badge, then whispers to Thompson. Suddenly, the whole mood shifts. Karen's still giving her speech, laying out violations, community risk, all of it. She doesn't notice that the officers are no longer looking at her. They're looking at Meet the Badge, at the official seal. Sergeant Thompson finally breaks the news. Ma'am, this gentleman is the county's senior housing code enforcement supervisor. He oversees HOAs, including compliance. Karen's face goes pale. The folder slips from her fingers, papers spilling onto the driveway. The power dynamic just flipped like a switch. I stay calm. No gloating. I explain patiently, like I would with any resident, that county law trumps HOA rules. That heirs have rights during probate. That what she's done, her intimidation campaign. Her fake emergency fees. Her bogus compliance, threats is all now documented. And will be reviewed. Neighbors are standing around. Wide-eyed. Mrs. Peterson whispers. She called the cops on the county official? You can almost feel the spell break, the fear replaced by, I don't know, maybe relief. The officers apologize for the trouble. Assure me it's all going in their report. Karen tries to defend herself, but her authority's gone. Her voice, for the first time, is small. By Monday, it's official, the county's opening a case file. Not against me, against the Pine Ridge HOA. Investigation letters go out to the whole board. Karen gets called in for questioning. Stories pour out. Fines for garden gnomes. Threats over mailbox color. Families who moved out rather than face endless compliance campaigns. Turns out, Karen's reign wasn't just annoying. It was costing folks thousands. Community meeting that week is packed. Neighbors quiet ones. The ones who never used to speak stand up and tell stories. $800 for a garden statue. $2,000 for unapproved deck repairs. No appeals. No mercy. By the end of the night, the board votes Karen out. The new president sets up real oversight. Fair processes. A hotline for complaints. People start smiling at each other again. The sun even seems to shine a little brighter through the pines. 6 months later, I come back for a follow-up inspection. Karen's out tending flowers by the mailbox. Head down. She catches my eye. Walks over, no clipboard. No swagger. I'm sorry, she says. I thought I was protecting this place. I was wrong. And you know what? I believe her. Sometimes it takes losing everything to see what you've become. Here's what I learned. Authority isn't about being loud. It's about doing what's right, even when nobody's watching. Karen spent 15 years running Pine Ridge with fear and fines. In the end, all it took to stop her was someone quietly, stubbornly refusing to be intimidated. Justice? Yeah, it happened. But it didn't come from shouting, or threats, or revenge. It came from truth, from sticking to the rules, and from a community deciding it was done being afraid. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line between protection and harassment? When does authority become abuse? And have you ever seen someone finally get the karma they'd been dodging for years? Drop your stories, your outrage, or your own HOA nightmares down in the comments. I want to know, when did you see justice done? And how would you have handled it? Let's talk about it, because sometimes the real story starts after the last paper gets filed.